Hey BookTube. So today I am going to be talking about Blackmark by Jean Lowe Carlson. Now, as far as I can tell, this is a indie book, self-published novel, and a very good one at that. It is a fantasy in a fairly classic trilogy format. It follows a race, or tribe, might be a better word, known as the Alreshendi, who are sworn to a kingdom's royal family as kingsmen. They are elite warriors and diplomats, arbitrators. And the book starts off with them all being killed. And it seems that there are only a handful of survivors. Like 4. And those are the characters that this book is following. Those 4 survivors who were known as Kingskinder. Sort of less than fully trained kingsmen at the time that this slaughter took place. And the book quickly picks up 10 years later, following that event where all of their tribe and families were killed. Those characters were pressed into military service for a minimum of 10 years. And the book picks up at the point they're finishing that and have gained their freedom at last. Freedom to try and find out what happened and why. Because it's a bit of a mystery, and that is the focus of the book. The why. 10 years after the fact, these characters are investigating who and why their entire people of thousands were betrayed, were called traitors, summoned to the palace, and all disappeared, presumed dead. Now these Alreshendi tribesmen sort of have a smattering of magical powers, kind of. Of the sort of 4 main characters, one is a seer, that's Grenna. She can see visions of the future, probably. There's Olea, who's, well, she has really good hearing, apparently. That I have good hearing. I don't consider it that much of a superpower, but seems to work for her. And then there's Ilol. He is sort of prescient. He can sense incoming danger, and his body sort of naturally reacts to it to keep him alive. A bit of a spidey sense, if you will. And then there's Darren. He, actually, he's got nothing. Pulled the short straw there. He's, nope, just a brawler. No special abilities. Now, as you progress through the story, you do start to get a feel of where it's going. And along with the characters, you start to unravel the mystery. And it works quite well. Now, this book is very much a trilogy. It's book 1 of 3 books, and it really is just the first third of a story. This book has no resolution, really, whatsoever. It doesn't work as a standalone, but it does work very well as the introductory book to a trilogy. I think. I haven't actually read the trilogy. So I read this, partly reading it and partly listening to it as an audiobook, which actually raises an interesting point. This book, which is feels like a very high quality book, indie published, and in fact the author has also narrated the audiobook herself. And very impressive quality that is too. I wasn't actually aware of that at the time, and I would have believed it was a professional narrator. Very impressive. On discovering there's no audiobook version for book 2, I did contact the author and asked her what the deal with that was. And she informed me she is aiming to get the audiobook version released for spring 2019. And hopefully the audiobook for book 3 in summer 2019. So I've got a bit of a wait to continue with this story, I think. But I do look forward to it. A criticism I have of the book is perhaps the use of names. It falls into perhaps that fantasy trap of using names that sound different. So they're foreign sounding names, and for whatever reason the characters in this book insist on always using their full name. And unfortunately all of the characters have surnames that kind of sound similar. So at times I was a bit confused as to who all the different characters were. In fact, there were two characters that for quite a while I thought it was one character. That was a bit confusing. That may be a symptom of me listening to large sections on audiobook. Bit of a rant there. Perhaps I'm not doing it justice though. I think on Goodreads, at the time of doing this review, the book has several hundred ratings with an average of about 4.4, and I would agree with that. It is a very strong performing 4-star book. I've really enjoyed it, and I will be continuing with this series, which hasn't been true of a lot of books I've read this year. With quite a lot of books, I've read book 1, and I've been content to leave it at that. Whereas I feel confident that I will pursue this series. So if you're looking to broaden your horizons with some fairly little known indie fantasy, I would say this is a strong contender if you're willing to invest in reading all 3 books. Bye!